This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union.
Again, we give God the glory and, again, opportunities that we have each and every day, and it's just a privilege to be able to do that. Just want to first just to say we're blessed. We're blessed here at the football program to be able to be playing, being eligible for a bowl game here in the month of November. And it's just excitement for ourselves as coaches, for our players. I have a lot of willingness to get better as a football team and understanding what they need to do and how they need to do it. So I like the way their approach has been each and every day as far as moving forward for the rest of the season. Just kind of did a few little things study. I think the biggest thing from a defensive perspective, when we have created turnovers, we're 4-0. When we have not got any turnovers, we're 0-3. Very pleased where we are being offensively, averaging 30-plus points a game. Again, being FCS going to FBS in an inaugural season, to say we're going to be averaging 30-plus points a game, that's outstanding. And so I got to give a lot of credit to all of our coaches on the offensive side of the ball there. Joe Daly, our coordinator, has done a fantastic job. Aaron Stam as an offensive line coach. Running back coach Mike Brown's come in here and really improve the running back. That was one area we talked about earlier in the season as far as what we need to get improved on. We've done that. Our tight ends have done a fantastic job of doing some production as far as blocking and receiving. Receiving corps done a fantastic job. We've had bumps, bruises, injuries, and people have stepped up and made plays when they have to make it as far as on the offensive side of the ball, and very pleased. And consider to say we're on the offensive side of the ball. We're 10th in the country in passing yards at FBS level and being in our first year. Now turn on over to Umass. Mark Whipple, good football coach. Done a lot of great things there. He's coached great teams at the University of Miami. He's coached a lot of great players there throughout his pro career. Ben Roethlisberger is one. And again, as UMass has a very, very good offensive football team. They're averaging 30-plus points a game. They do a lot of multiple things, personnel grouping-wise. They do a lot of different formations. They do a lot of different things that they do, whether they're running the ball, passing the ball. And so they do multiple things, and they've been very, very successful against a lot of different opponents, from South Florida to you name it, all different people that they played this year. The one person that stands out, I've watched every yards that he has done. Isabella, the receiver, 1,091 yards. He's number one in the country as far as at the FBS level. Again, he's a guy that makes plays. They put him all over the place. He's in the backfield. He's at a tight end spot. He's at receiver. So he is a multiple guy, and I can understand why they have him doing multiple things. When the ball's in his hands, he's very, 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 very productive. Quarterback-wise there, they've changed over a little bit here. Unfortunately, lost their starting quarterback there, I think, here 2 weeks ago. They have their backup guy, who I would classify as a dual threat. He can run the football. He can throw the football. It was pretty good and accurate. He definitely does some good things there for him. So they're able to move the ball. He's played in every single game, so it's not someone who has not ever played any games. He's a redshirt senior, so he has some experience. He has some things there to do as far as what he can do offensively. Also, as far as their running back, he's a good football player. Number 8, 6'1", 6'2", maybe 210, 215, and a downhill player. But he's also had a kickoff return, and he's run back for a touchdown, 94, 95 yards. So he has good enough speed. So they can run the ball, and they can throw the ball, and they can do it in all different ways. So offensively, it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us. It's what we're trying to get done. And again, the running back there averages over 5 yards a carry. Defensively, Ed Pinkham is the defensive coordinator. He's been a few different places. He's had some success. I think before he came there to UMass, was at Western Michigan, the year that they were 13-0 there. Done some great things there. They've done some good things here. They've struggled a little bit. If you look at the statistics, they haven't done quite as well as far as the numbers. But occasionally when they get turnovers, that's the other thing they do is they get turnovers. And that's been helping them throughout the time period they have. I think a couple of guys that stand out on the defensive side of the ball. Number 44, there, Mike Linebacker. He's all over the place. He can go sideline to sideline. He comes downhill. Very physical player. We got to make sure that we are very, very physical with him as we move forward and trying to get things done. Their two corners are pretty good. They have a safety who came from UConn. Number 2 there does some good things there at the safety position. He's all over the place. Say 44, number 2. They're pretty much involved in a lot of plays when you start watching the video and the tape. Special teams, they're solid. What they do. Obviously, number 5, Isabella, he's a punt returner. Again, he does some good things there. They're running back. He's their kickoff return guy. So those people that I've already mentioned before, they're very, very solid in what they're trying to do on the special teams. Injury-wise, there, J.T. Wood is good to go. Alex Prober is full go. Jerome Jackson and Torrey Matthews, all those guys are full go. Zach Faust is questionable. B.J. Farrell is probable. Damian King is out. Keys to the game. We got to win the turnover margin. As I mentioned earlier, we're 4-0 when our defense get some turnovers. And, again, we got to protect the football. It's going to be very, very important in the game. And then probably the biggest thing I've talked about on the defensive side of the ball is really explosive plays. We got to limit the 20 yards per play. I think when we've had a very, very good defensive game, we've been very good and explosive, and that kind of counts when we start talking about tackling well. You got a lot of people around the ball. Those are things that we have to do as far as getting ready to have a great game against UMass. Open up the questions.
Coach, was the bye week at a good time with this 3-week stretch coming up here, 3 straight road games, 2 Power Fives after this, and what did you do to prepare your team for this?
Well, I think it's, at a pretty good time there. We definitely have some bumps and bruises. We kind of rested quite a few of the guys who have played a lot of football. We didn't even have most of the guys didn't even take a whole lot of reps. As for we only practice 2 days a week, Tuesday and Thursday, very light practices, and just kind of get in and out of getting things that we need to get done. A few guys that hadn't had a whole lot of reps, we got them playing on the first group and getting multiple reps as far as trying to get them some reps to play as we move forward here in the last 4 or 5 ball games of the year. I think moving forward, I think what we really talked about is trying to make sure we're efficient on the offensive side of the ball. I think the biggest thing is trying to say who are the core people we're going to count on as playing in the games and get them reps as we move forward today. The same thing I did on the defensive side of the ball, trying to find those 15, 18 guys that we're going to play quite a bit with and making sure we get those guys there correcting on what they need to do and how they need to do it, telling each individual guy where they're at, what they need to improve on and why they need to improve on it, and giving them the specific things that they need to do as we move forward. And so, again, our coaches are also out on the road recruiting, so it didn't have a whole lot of time with them, but the time that we had, those are the things that we kind of emphasized.
Fidel Bathan's not listed on the depth chart. What's his status for Saturday?
He's available.
Just kind of going back to this 3-game stretch here. I mean, how tough is this going to be for your team, and what's it going to take to come out of there, and what would you define as a successful run here over the next 3 weeks?
I'm going to focus on UMass. That's all that I'm engaged in right now, is getting ready for University of Massachusetts. We got our hands full against them, and we'll worry about all those other things when the time is appropriate to deal with those things. So we got to improve as a football team, and I think that's what our coaching staff is doing. That's what I've instructed them to do, and that's what our players are getting ready to do, is play our best football game against UMass.
You mentioned being able to play for a bowl game in November. How much is that being discussed amongst the team? Are you talking to the players about that, or just kind of leaving it alone?
We're embracing it. We mention it, but again, that's about it. We're going to mention it, and we got to focus on the different tasks that we have to do individually and as a unit, offense, defense, and special teams. And so we're all aware of where it's at and what we need to do. You mention it, you embrace it, and then you move on.
The way Frankie Hickson's been running, and with Torrey Matthews coming back, do you expect Hickson to remain the starter and continue to get the majority of the reps, or you get Matthews back in full go?
We'll make that decision at the end of the week. We'll just continue to see how Torrey comes along and all that. Medically, the doctors have released him ready to play. It's just a matter now for our decision. How far along is he? Do we feel like he's ready to go? How many reps? But we'll make that decision at the end of the week.
Coach, based on the numbers, both UMass and LU obviously are high-scoring teams. Their offenses are very good. How do you plan to limit the big plays like you mentioned, and then obviously big plays from Isabella? He's got the numbers so far. What is your scouting report on him, and what is your plan against him?
Well, we got a plan, and it's now going to be a matter as we continue to watch video and tape and put that plan together, and then make a few adjustments during the week. End of the week, we'll have things that we have definitely banked on and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. We'll have a plan. And now the bottom line is, how does our players execute the plan? I guess that's always the situation. That's why you go play on Saturday at 3:30 p.m. from about 3.5 hours. Who can do that at that time period? And I'm very, very excited about the opportunity we have. Again, our guys know what the task is in hand. They're good. We're good. And we're ready to play our best game.
With Alex Probert coming back from his injury, are you still going to allow him to tell you how he feels and see if he can do kickoffs plus all the place kicking duties, or is that something you're going to wait till maybe up to game time to determine how you use him and Aaron Peart?
We'll use that at the end of the week to kind of figure out where he's all at. I can say he's definitely going to do place kicking. We'll just kind of see how he does as far as kickoff. We'll do all those things for him to get him ready to go. For some odd reason, something doesn't feel right to him or whatever, then he won't. But right now, we're leaning toward him doing all three. But something could change here at the end of the week.
You're 16-5 in November since you took over here. What do you think that says about your team?
Bill Gillespie. First thing that comes to my mind is Bill Gillespie. Obviously, my coaching staff and all of them, what they do, and they put in, man, we talk about all the different things. Barry Fink, he gets involved in all those type of things of that nature, talking about what we need to do and how we need to do it to continue to have our guys ready to go at the end of the year. We also monitor how many reps every guy has. They give me those reports, and I look at the numbers they're at. And so sometimes we limited the reps in practice. So therefore, we all know a human body, you can only take so many hits, only can do so many reps over a period of time. So all those people, I think, involved in it. Again, we got our staff here. I know Ian McCall helped us out on certain things there with massages and different things of that nature that we can try to help our players to be able to perform the best they can on Saturdays.
Do you feel like defense took a step back last week and just kind of assessed their performance?
It wasn't up to par like we would hope for, but I got to give a lot of credit to Iowa Hill State. I know probably the average fan, FCS, should have done this, we should have made it do that. They got skilled players, and they were very, very good. They were experienced. Quarterback was a senior. The receiver was a senior, the two receivers they had. So we knew that they were going to move the football. We caused a turnover, which that's what I was hoping that we could be able to do, and I think that was a key thing in the game. So, again, we got to continue to improve, and I think our coaching staff will get that done.
Coach, through the first 7 games, what would you say has been, one, a pleasant surprise, and two, maybe an area where you feel like you need the most improvement going down the stretch?
Probably if I say a pleasant surprise, if I go overall from a team perspective or group, I would say my running backs. That was one area we wanted to see some big improvement. Frankie Hickson has had a tremendous year. Mike Brown, just him coming along, didn't know how that all was going to mesh together. So I got to give a lot of credit to Coach Brown, and really has come in here and done a fantastic job. 2, 3, 4 guys have played. Pickett's done a fantastic job. Everybody's come in here has done what they're supposed to do, and maybe even a little bit beyond what we maybe expected. So I think overall, maybe just the running backs, how well that they improved and helped our football team. I think that's one of the main reasons why we are where we're at as far as being able to be 4-3 with our record. I think the thing that we need to improve on the most is consistency on all sides of the ball. Offensively, we got to be more consistent as far as not turning the ball over in some situation where I think it was more on our side, what we didn't do correctly. Defensively, I think we just need to improve on our tackling, which I think we have done that. We need to continue to do that. It's going to be very, very important here in these next 5 ball games. Special teams got to be consistent, again, in all areas, punt, kickoff return. There's just been some things that we just haven't been quite as sharp at as far as those things. So we got a lot to improve on, that's for sure. But those are some of the, I guess, key points that I would make.
When you look at Jesse Lemonnier and the impact he's made, early in the season, right out of JUCO ball, is that something you all expected to be able to get out of him so early? And then, what are the hopes for him the last half of the season and even going into next year?
Well, I don't know if maybe recall, I can't remember exactly when I made a mention of maybe it's saying one guy that I may say you need to watch and anticipate to have maybe a very, very good year, and he was one of those guys. And he's played what we thought he could be able to do, maybe a little bit even beyond what we thought. And again, he's been a workhorse, very, very diligent in what he wants to get done, very detailed, wants to continue to learn about the game of football and what the offensive line doing and all the different things. And I think all that has come to fruition as far as all of his studying, questions, work ethic in the weight room and conditioning, all those things. And I think when you come to do all those things, you're going to have some success. And he's a great football player, a great person, and a great team player, and I'm glad he's on our side.
Coach, this is the first of 8 matchups with UMass. How competitive do you see this series being?
I think it could be very competitive. You know, they're going to have some good football players. We're going to have good football players. And, again, it's just a great opportunity for us as far as Massachusetts and here in the state of Virginia to have 8 games lined up. We're going to get to know each other a little bit better, kind of see it almost slightly like a conference situation if you want to look at it from that perspective to get to know each other on a pretty good basis here year after year.
Again, you look at their numbers defensively, not real good for the whole season, but the last 2 ball games they played, 17 points allowed last week, 24 the week before that. Have they gotten better the last couple ball games that they played?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the way I look at it. That's why I'm thinking they're a good football team. The last 2 football games, that's what you want to look for. They had a bye week. I think after they only played 1 game now, UConn after their bye week, and then the game right before the bye week. Those 2 games I really have looked at very, very detailed. They got some guys back a little bit. The linebackers there came back. Safety was a little bit more healthy. It sounded like they got a little bit more sound than what they were doing. They had a few more, I'm going to say, mental areas. Again, don't know it specifically because I'm not in their meetings and all that, but just watching the tape. Early on in the year, there was a lot of mistakes that being made and people not having the right gaps, and people had some missed coverages and so on and so forth. So they were a lot more sound, I think, in the defensive side of the ball these last 2 ball games, and that's why I think they have a little bit more success.
It's a little easier to prepare maybe just for one guy at quarterback this week instead of potentially 3.
Well, yeah, you know, they've always have played 2 guys in just about every game. But again, I think they're going to stick with number 2 there, the quarterback there, Ross, and I think that does help us a little bit. But the other guy could play. They don't change a whole lot. They may do a few things a little bit different with the other quarterback, number 17. But we got a plan for us, what we have seen and what we anticipate, and get our guys ready to play.